You bought a used Silverado and want to improve a few things? Stop right there. There are 5 components on this truck that if you mess with, you can turn a reliable machine into a $50,000 nightmare. And one of them is so critical that experienced mechanics refuse to touch it.
Look, I've seen too many experienced guys ruin a perfect Silverado trying unnecessary upgrades. My neighbor had a 2005 with 180,000 miles running like a Swiss watch. He decided to mess with one small part. Result, $8,000 down the drain and an engine that was never the same again. If you're the type who'd rather have a working Silverado than an improved Silverado at the shop, subscribe to the channel, because today I'm going to show you exactly what to leave alone on these trucks.
Component number 1, the AFM DoD system, the silent killer. First on the list, the AFM Active Fuel Management System, also known as DoD, Displacement on Demand. This system shuts down half the cylinders to save fuel. Sounds smart on paper, right? It's a trap. This system is responsible for 70% of serious engine problems in 2007 plus Silverados. The problem isn't just the system itself, but the whole assembly. AFM lifters, camshaft, even the valve springs work differently. Some people install kits to disable the AFM. Big mistake. You're not just turning off a system, you're messing with the heart of the engine. One wrong tune, and you can melt pistons. I saw a guy in Denver who spent $3,000 on a professional kit. 6 months later, entire engine in the trash. The truth is, if your Silverado has AFM and it's working, leave it alone. Change oil religiously every 5,000 miles, use quality synthetic, and pray you get lucky. Messing with it is asking for trouble.
Component number 2, the original 4L60E/4L80E transmission, the untouchable veteran. Second sacred component, the original automatic transmission, especially the 4L60E and 4L80E from 1999 to 2009 Silverado. Maintenance, but it can be the death of your transmission. These older boxes accumulate microscopic particles in the filters and valves. These particles, believe it or not, actually help seal small internal leaks. When you do a flush, you remove these protective particles. Result: internal leaks, inconsistent pressure, and a transmission that slips. I know a mechanic in Houston who refuses to flush 4L60Es with over 150K miles. He says, if it's shifting smooth, don't touch it. The golden rule? If your transmission has over 100K miles and never had service, keep it that way. If you need to change fluid, do a simple drain and fill. No flush, no miracle additives.
Component 3, the original exhaust system, perfect harmony. Third untouchable item, the complete factory exhaust system. I'm not just talking about the muffler, but the whole setup. Headers, cats, resonators, everything. The temptation is always the same. I'll put on a performance exhaust to gain power. Bullshit. On Silverados, especially those with 5.3 and 6.0 engines, the factory exhaust was mathematically calculated for ideal back pressure. Messing with the exhaust can cause problems you can't imagine. Loss of low-end torque, increased fuel consumption, even oxygen sensor problems. I knew a guy who put a Flowmaster on a 2004 Silverado. He gained noise and lost 15% real torque measured on the dyno. But the worst part isn't performance, it's reliability. These engines were calibrated to work with specific back pressure. Change that, and the ECU goes crazy trying to compensate. Rich mixture, knock, high temperatures, a cascade of problems.
Component number 4, the factory ECU PCM, the sacred brain. Fourth component, the engine control module, ECU PCM. This is the brain of the operation, and messing with it is like doing a lobotomy on someone who's thinking straight. The ECU reprogramming craze has become an epidemic. Oh, I'll do a stage 1 chip to gain 50 horsepower. Dude, do you have any idea what you're doing? Those factory calibrations took years to develop, millions of dollars in testing. You think some guy with a laptop is going to improve that in 2 hours? What really happens? Minimal power gains in exchange for huge reliability problems.
higher temperatures, excessive pressures, accelerated wear. Not to mention any electrical problem becomes a nightmare to diagnose. I know a guy who had a 2016 Silverado 2500 HD Duramax LBZ engine, the most reliable one there is. He got it reprogrammed to improve economy. 6 months later, injectors fried. $4,000 loss on a truck that was perfect.
Component number 5, the power steering assembly, factory precision. Last but not least, the complete power steering system, pump, steering box, hoses, everything. This system is the soul of the Silverado. Messing with it for improvement is a recipe for disaster. The most common mistake? Replacing the steering box with a rebuilt one when the first little leak appears. These rebuilt boxes rarely have the same precision as the original. Result? Heavy steering, play, irregular tire wear. Another mistake? Power steering fluid flush. Just like the transmission, this system works better with original aged fluid than with new fluid and a system contaminated by flush residue. True story. A friend in Phoenix had a small leak in the high-pressure steering hose. The mechanic convinced him to take advantage and replace the steering box too. $1,200 later, the steering was stiff, had play, and the tires started wearing irregularly. He ended up going back to a used original box.
Look, I know it's tempting to want to improve your Silverado. But the truth is, GM engineers weren't idiots. They knew what they were doing, especially in those golden generations from 1999 to 2009. These 5 components I showed you today are the heart, brain, and soul of your Silverado. Messing with them is like trying to improve a formula that already works perfectly. Best case scenario, you gain nothing. Worst case, you destroy a reliable machine. The golden rule of Silverado ownership? If it's working, let it work. Do preventative maintenance, use OEM parts when necessary, but resist the temptation to modify what's already perfect. And you? Have you made any of these mistakes? Or know someone who turned a good Silverado into a headache? Tell us in the comments, because these stories help other owners not repeat the same errors. If this video saved you from making an expensive mistake, hit that like button, because content like this takes a lot of study and experience to share. And next week, I'm going to show you the opposite: 5 modifications that actually improve a Silverado without compromising reliability. Spoiler, one of them costs less than $50 and makes a huge difference. Don't miss it.